Rich man mocks struggling mom and son, then gets a shocking lesson. Some moments stay with you forever, even when the rest of life moves on. I remember this particular day as if it happened just yesterday. It was one of those gloomy afternoons where the rain fell steadily, and the cold air made people huddle into their coats. I had just ducked into a small cafe downtown, shaking off the rain from my jacket, looking forward to a hot cup of coffee. The cafe wasn't fancy, just a cozy little place with the smell of fresh pastries and brewed coffee lingering in the air. The warmth inside was a sharp contrast to the bitter cold outside, and a few people sat quietly at their tables, lost in their own worlds. I stood in line behind a woman and her young son. Right away, I noticed them. The mother looked tired, the kind of tired that settled deep into your bones. Her clothes were clean but worn, and her hands, rough from work, clutched a small, tattered purse. Her son, probably no older than 6 or 7, stood close to her, his small fingers gripping the hem of her coat. He was a skinny little thing, with big eyes that sparkled with innocence despite the weight of the world pressing down on them. I watched as the mother hesitated in front of the cashier, counting her money, crumpled dollar bills and loose coins. Her fingers trembled slightly, and she bit her lip, as if silently praying she had enough. The little boy looked up at her, hopeful. "Can I still get the chocolate muffin, Mama?" he asked softly. She hesitated. Her eyes flickered with sadness, and she swallowed hard before shaking her head. "Maybe next time, sweetheart," she whispered. The boy nodded, but I could see the disappointment in his eyes. He tried to hide it, tried to be strong. And that's when it happened. A deep, impatient sigh came from behind me. "Oh, for God's sake, hurry up." I turned to see a man standing there, arms crossed, tapping his polished shoe against the floor. He was well dressed, in a sharp suit that probably cost more than a few months of rent for that struggling mother. A gleaming gold watch rested on his wrist, and he carried himself with the air of someone who thought the world should move at his convenience. The mother flinched at his words, her face turning red with embarrassment. She hurriedly tried to gather the last of her change, but her hands fumbled, and a few coins clattered to the floor. The man let out another exaggerated sigh. "Unbelievable. If you can't afford a simple meal, maybe you shouldn't be holding up the line for the rest of us." His words cut through the air like a slap. The little boy gripped his mother's hand tighter, his lower lip trembling. He didn't cry, though. I could tell he was used to moments like this. That realization alone made my heart ache. The mother kept her head down, too ashamed to look up. The cafe had gone silent, the warmth replaced by an uncomfortable tension. I felt anger bubble up inside me. Not the kind of anger that makes you yell, but the kind that sits deep in your chest, heavy and unmoving. Before I even realized what I was doing, I stepped forward. "I've got it," I said, reaching into my pocket and placing a $20 bill on the counter. The mother's eyes shot up to meet mine, wide with surprise. "Oh, no, you don't have to do that," she said, shaking her head. "I want to," I said gently. "Please." For a moment, she just stared at me. Then, slowly, her lips trembled into the smallest smile, a smile filled with gratitude, relief, and something else, something unspoken. The rich man scoffed. "Oh, come on," he muttered, rolling his eyes. "People like them always expect handouts." That's when the little boy, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. His voice was soft but steady. "My mom doesn't want a handout. She just wanted to get me a treat because it's my birthday today." Silence. The cafe seemed to hold its breath. The mother closed her eyes for a brief moment, as if trying to steady herself. The cashier, a kind-looking elderly woman, sighed and gave the man a look of quiet disapproval. A few other customers turned to stare at him. For the first time, the man's confident smirk disappeared. His expression shifted, something flickered in his eyes. Guilt? Embarrassment? Maybe both. He glanced at the little boy, then at the mother, and finally at the $20 bill on the counter. He opened his mouth like he wanted to say something, but no words came out. The mother, still holding her son's hand, turned to me and whispered, "Thank you." Her voice wavered, and I could tell she was holding back tears. The little boy grinned up at me, his sadness momentarily forgotten. "Thank you, mister," he said, his voice bright. I just smiled and nodded. As they took their food and sat down, the rich man did something no one expected. He cleared his throat awkwardly, reached into his expensive leather wallet, and pulled out a crisp $100 bill. Without looking at anyone, he placed it on the counter. "For them," he muttered. "And for anyone else who needs it today." Then, without another word, he turned and walked out of the cafe. His shoulders, once stiff with arrogance, were now slightly hunched. His face, which had been so full of pride, now held something else, something softer. As I watched the mother wipe her eyes and smile down at her son, I realized something. Kindness has a way of breaking down walls, even the thickest ones. And maybe, just maybe, that man walked away a little less empty than he had been before.
Hey everyone, if this story moved you, if it made you think, or if it reminded you why we need to keep having these conversations, please take a moment to like this video. It really helps spread awareness. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below. Have you ever witnessed or experienced something like this? Let's talk about it. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be told, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're here to share real, powerful stories that need to be heard. Lastly, share this with your friends and family. The more people who see this, the more we can bring awareness and change. Thank you for watching and being part of this journey. Let's keep pushing forward, together.